Good afternoon and good evening to some folks on the East Coast. We'd like to welcome you to the post-landing news conference ending the STS-64 mission, the 19th voyage of discovery. Joining us this evening is Ascent, Entry, and Orbit 1 Flight Director Wayne Hale. Also joining us is Lauren Shriver, who is the Manager of Launch Integration at the Kennedy Space Center. We'll hear from both gentlemen and then we'll throw it open to questions. I understand we have questions here at Kennedy and out in California. So with that, I'll turn it over to Wayne.
Well, thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here this afternoon. We had a very successful entry of the Space Shuttle Discovery this afternoon. We completed all the engineering tests that we were scheduled to complete during our entry. We knew months ago when we started planning this mission and took a look at what time we were going to have to launch and land to satisfy the science objectives that it would be very challenging in terms of the climate that we have at Florida to try to launch and land in the middle of the afternoon in late summer. We were able to get it off out of Florida on launch day after just a couple of hours waiting for the clouds to clear, and we tried yesterday and again today to land, but unfortunately Mother Nature wouldn't cooperate with us, so it came to be time to land at Edwards Air Force Base Dryden Flight Research Center, and all that went very smoothly, and I really have nothing else to say. It was a very successful flight, and the actual entry itself was very calm and by the numbers.
Okay, Lauren.
And from a Space Shuttle program point of view, we're very happy, of course, to have STS-64 Discovery back on the ground. Even though we didn't, as Wayne said, make our Florida landing, we have a superb team of people working on this mission, just like every other mission. And, of course, the recommendations of the team, and especially in these last couple of days, the weather people, both located both at Kennedy and here in Houston, did an outstanding job of tracking and following the weather and squeezing as much as we could possibly get from our attempts to land at Kennedy. And it just wasn't in the cards this time. And of course, we always had Edwards there as a good backup. And that is the case a lot of times with our missions. And so we were willing to take that extra day and see if we could get back into Kennedy today. As you saw, the weather at Edwards was beautiful, and it did cap a tremendously successful mission, just short of 11 days of very good engineering and science data for our payload customers.
Okay, thanks. So we're ready for questions. We'll start here with Mark, and then we'll check around the other centers.
This is Mark Crow of the Houston Chronicle for Lauren Shriver. If I count right, it's 10 days between this landing and the next launch. I just wonder, were there any late issues that would influence or affect those plans at this point?
Right now, I don't see any. Of course, we still have a good deal of engineering data to look through. From an orbiter standpoint, once again, Discovery turned in an almost flawless performance. It behaved very well for those 11 days. We are through a significant part of the booster disassembly down in Kennedy, and so far things look real good from that point of view also. So I think within the next couple of days we'll probably zero in on a lot more of the data from coming from Marshall on the Ascent systems, and zero in on whatever problems we think we need to work in terms of Discovery's flight just now. But Wayne, I don't think I remember anything that's that I would call a constraint to the next flight.
Amplify on that, the Discovery turned in an outstanding performance. It's a credit to the people that process the vehicle in Florida that they do such a great job, and we had virtually nothing to talk about in terms of Discovery's any anomalies or anything like that.
Okay. You have a follow-up, Mark? You want to? Okay, we're going to go to Kennedy Space Center now for questions down in Florida.
This is Todd Halverson of Florida Today. A follow on Mark's question for Lauren. Obviously, you don't have much time to revel in the accomplishments of this mission, what with another launch in 9 days and 12 hours or whatever it is. How big of an accomplishment will it be to turn around that quickly? And it seems to me that that's kind of unusual, that quick of a turnaround.
Well, Todd, I think any kind of a turnaround that short in a program is dealing with machinery as complex as we have and the shuttle components is quite an accomplishment, and I think something that the entire team can be proud of. I guess maybe I would hedge a little bit and say that we are maybe taking a bit of a shortcut on the way to bringing Endeavour back out to the pad, because we have done a number of things in the flow to make sure that it's ready to go already. Mainly what we've done now, of course, is we did cycle all the way back to the VAB, and that required a lot of work, and we broke a lot of connections, and we put new engines in, and of course that necessitated retesting all of those systems. But in terms of getting a look at the vehicle, we kind of have one snapshot of that on the way down to the original attempt. So I'm hoping that maybe we have a slight leg up in the countdown going into this one, and we'll be able to, and I've already corrected most of the problems we saw there, and we'll just have to deal with our new set of engines.
Okay, let me just ask you this to make sure I'm clear on this, but as I understand it, you don't believe you have any in-flight anomalies from this particular STS-64 flight that would prohibit a launch of STS-68?
None at all.
None that we know of right now that would cause a constraint to launch.
Okay, and for Wayne Hale, did you guys lose a tack hand on the final approach out there? I thought I might have heard something on the loop about a tack hand going out.
We had a little bit of just momentary excitement. You know, we have 3 TACAN receivers on board, and today it was a very unusual day for us. The primary TACAN ground station at Edwards Air Force Base is out of commission. They had to do some repairs there, so we used a TACAN station that's down the road about 20 miles at Palmdale. And coming around the entry, hitting alignment cone, or just, I guess it was a little bit before that, we had a little bit of noise. The onboard computer system that's always looking to see if those 3 units are receiving the same data before it puts it into the navigation in the shuttle's software, decided that one of them was a little bit too noisy and kicked it out. We're thinking currently that that's an artifact of the geometry and the situation we were in, not that there was really a bad unit there. So we're going to look into that, but I wouldn't call it anything of any real significance.
Okay, and another quick one for, well, I guess for Wayne. It appeared that you went ahead with the subsonic DTO, and it almost looked like Dick Richards wiggled the wings a little bit on the way in there. At what point, in terms of altitude and speed and the final approach, did that subsonic DTO occur, and what was the purpose of it?
The subsonic aero maneuvers that we talk about are some maneuvers that we have the pilots do. They're about 10,000 feet to 7,000 feet above the ground on final approach, when we are, as the name implies, subsonic, as opposed to a lot of aerodynamic maneuvers we've done earlier in the program in the hypersonic or supersonic regime. What he does is he does wiggle the wings, as you said, just a little bit, once left, once right, and the rudder once left, once right. And what we're looking for is to improve on our wind tunnel data so that we can even further refine our understanding of how the vehicle handles. And when we get all these numbers analyzed and can run them back into the big simulators at Ames Research Center and other places, we're hoping to go ahead and prove that our handling qualities on the shuttle would be good out to higher crosswind limits than we currently have, and that would allow us to be able to launch on more days and be able to land, frankly, on more days. So the point is engineering data to expand our envelope, and from all reports that I heard, that maneuver went very well. We captured the data, and the engineers are going to be looking at that very hard for the next few weeks.
And one last one for Lauren. You've had a little time to look over the schedule for the rest of 1994 and 1995. I'm wondering if you can give us an idea of how the STS-68 shutdown on the first launch attempt is going to ripple out through 94 and 95.
We have had some chance to look at the early 95 missions. It looks like there will be some adjustments made on the 105 line of the schedule. Those early in the year amount to keeping STS-63 about where it is, and probably moving 67 to the opposite side, further down in February. And then we'll have to adjust each of the succeeding missions for 2 or 3 missions a little bit. And I don't have my schedule with me. I don't recall exactly the dates that we've set there. And those would be at least preliminary looks anyway, and we'll try to firm those up as we go along. But right now, the next objective, of course, is Endeavour on next week from this Friday.
Just to elaborate on that, will each of the 105 flights essentially be leapfrogging Discovery missions and Atlantis missions?
Todd, off the top of my head, I can't give you a good answer there. I don't recall exactly how that falls out, but when I get back to Florida, I'll try to look it up for you and give you a better answer.
And just one more. Have you determined whether or not you're going to take the Spartan 201 payload that was going to be on STS-72 and move it up to the flight with Wake Shield?
Let's see, again, I think that's still under review. There's a couple options that we're looking at, and it would depend on which option we go with as to what would happen with those 2 payloads.
Okay, that's all from the Kennedy Space Center, and we'll ask Dryden now if there are any questions from the Dryden facility out in California.
Yeah, this is Jane Allen from the Associated Press. I'm wondering what you gained by staying up an extra day when you could have come down yesterday at Edwards and you had essentially finished the mission. The astronauts really had nothing left to accomplish.
What we gained from a program point of view was 2 more tries today, or attempts today, to try to accomplish our landing at Kennedy Space Center. And I guess in terms of maybe something folks can relate to easily, we're willing to spend a day more on orbit to try to buy back 6 days of processing time out of Dryden to cut the flow short. In other words, it's worth it to us to attempt that landings a second day at Kennedy in order to save time overall in our flow.
And the second question I was going to ask you today, we saw a diversion or a different landing today, a different directional landing out on, I guess we came in on 04 instead of 22. I'm wondering how far ahead that decision was made, and was that a strategic decision? Did it have any major importance?
That was a tactical decision in the classic sense. We made that decision about an hour before the deorbit burn, about 2 hours before landing, based on our analysis of the winds and the touchdown effects and how the entry guidance and flying characteristics of the shuttle would work. Early in the day, the winds that our forecaster Steve Sokol gave us, we thought they were going to be coming out of the southwest, and we had thought that if we wound up coming to Edwards, we would go to 22, the southwest facing into the runway. Unfortunately, the winds were a little bit obstinate with us and came out of the northeast, and so we selected the other end of the runway, and that's all there really is to that. There's no engineering data or any real significance to which end we picked, just which is better given the wind at the time you come around on the final.
That's all from Dryden.
Okay, that's it from the other centers, and we're back here. And Mark, you have a follow-up of any kind? Okay, I'd like to end this or close this press conference with a couple of programming notes for everybody. We're going to show replays of the Discovery's landing immediately following this press conference. We'll be switching back out to Dryden for that. The other is that sometime tomorrow we're hoping to get a videotape of some footage the crew shot last night, Monday night, from orbit as they flew over some volcanic eruptions that were occurring over New Guinea, Rabaul, the city of New Guinea. So for folks, stay tuned to NASA Select tomorrow for updates and advisors as to when we can replay that, or call us here in the JSC newsroom. With that, we'll bring this to a close. Thanks a lot for coming.